What's going on, Washington fans? Welcome to Bleacher Report. This is the post-game stream with the Washington Commanders and the Miami Dolphins. Washington still only has one win at home this season, and it seems like every game's been sold out. But if you were watching the game, if you saw the pictures, once again, overrun by the away team. It just seems like it's a weekly occurrence, and the only way you're ever going to change that is by winning games and actually having opposing fans respect you as an opponent. People know that we are an automatic win right now. So we have teams like Miami overtaking our stadium from hours away, all the way down in Miami, Florida, coming up because they know this is a game that they're going to see their team win. So what do you have to do moving forward to change this? And I'm glad that we actually end the season on a stretch of really good teams, with winning records. Because there was a while, we're playing some really bad teams. We thought this team actually had a pulse. But we lose 45-15 to the Dolphins, who are without 3 or 4 key defenders. Baker goes down in the game. That's a big loss for them. Riley comes in, a linebacker for the Dolphins. Looks better than any of our linebackers do, and he had no expectations of playing today. So it's just you watch these games and you learn a lot about other teams, but you start to learn a lot about your team. And I sent out a tweet or post or whatever you want to call it when Josh at Josh Taylor FB on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. If you haven't followed me for some Commanders content, I post all these streams to my YouTube channel afterwards in case you come in late or whatever to watch it. My YouTube channel is JTFB at Josh Taylor FB once again. But I said this team, it's so disheartening watching this team. And it's so discouraging knowing that in year 4 of Ron Rivera, he has built one of the worst rosters in the NFL. In 4 seasons, he did nothing to improve this team. We actually took many steps back. I'm not even going to talk about like Trent Williams and, Brandon Sheriff and some of the all-pro guys that we lost. I know we've gotten some good players as well. Terry, John Allen, Dron Payne are up there. But in 4 years, we have taken a step back as a franchise on the field. I'm not going to talk about off the field. Obviously, Josh Harris and Magic Johnson are going to go to work this offseason. There's a lot to talk about this offseason. I've talked about first-round options in a couple videos and streams. Obviously, there's going to be some things that need to be talked about, some hard pills to swallow. I talked about one. Let's see. I can't blame Sam. It's not his fault. He had one pick. We played a good Dolphins team. We get a good pick and a new head coach. And this was a really good Dolphins team. And like I said, I'm glad we went on this stretch of really hard teams to end the season because you start to see what you really have. You start to see who you actually want to build around in the future. And I'm telling you guys, the locker room is awful right now. These players have no belief in what they're actually doing, and it shows on the field. You've got guys like Percy Butler showing no effort on the field. Looks like he's running with 20-pound ankle weights. It's just every position on this team needs to be better, and it's really bad. And obviously, you see the offensive line struggling all season long. There's been little flashes where it's gotten better, but once again, it's against bad teams who don't get sacks, don't get pressures, and then we play a team like the Dolphins. We're like, okay, yep, that's right. This offensive line is atrocious, by the way. I'm not even going to really show y'all any stats or anything like that because, all you need to know is that Tyreek Hill had over 150 yards, 2 touchdowns on us, 2 big bombs. Ron Rivera said, I'm going to call the defense moving forward for the rest of the season, and you give up 2 Tyreek Hill big touchdowns. And by the way, this stat changed mid-game, but after the Tyreek Hill second touchdown, Washington actually has the most touchdowns allowed from outside the red zone this year with 18 now, which is just bad. 18 touchdowns outside of the red zone for the Washington defense. Hashtag the Ron Rivera standard is what I call it. Jamie C says, yeah, we need a lot. We do absolutely need a lot. And that's what I want to talk to you about. There's no point in talking about this game. There's no point in saying, oh, guys, the Dolphins are a better team. Anyone that knows football can say the Dolphins have a better team than us. And what did it take? And I had a lot of people saying, Josh, how come the Jaguars can do it in one season? How come the Texans can do it in one season where they have this turnaround? And there's a lot that goes into it. Every situation is completely different. But I got a couple polls that I want to share with y'all throughout. There's a spicy one. There's just a couple like pulse checks and stuff like that. But I want to know as a fan, are you checked out this season? Yes or no? Because I said it like this morning, dude, last night there was so much going on. I'm a diehard Alabama fan. Roll Tide, by the way. We deserved a playoff spot. The SEC championship game, we had UFC fights here in downtown Austin, Texas. So I went to the UFC fights last night. I'm just so involved in everything going on with, sports right now. I woke up this morning at like 11 o'clock Central Time, which we kick off at 12. I said, what time do we even play today? I had no idea. Like I was as checked out of this game and so uninterested in this game as could possibly be. I knew once again it was going to be a game overrun by the away fans. And obviously out here in Texas, not much I can do about it. I travel, I go to some home games when I can, but that's going to get better when the product on the field's better. And people will say like, oh, it's the fans. Honestly, I'm not paying $300 to go watch that. Get 45 points dropped on our dome. I'm not doing that. So it's just, as a fan, I am checked out, and you can see it from the content I post. You can see it from the videos I do. It's draft season for me. First off, it's always draft season for me because when you're scouting, it's a season-long thing. But the college football, there's one game left for everybody unless you're in the playoffs. The college football season is over for a lot of people. A lot of players are declaring. You got guys going to the Senior Bowl, which I'll be at. I'll be interviewing prospects and stuff like that. You've got guys who are, they're going to the draft right now. They're not playing another game. So, yeah, it's draft season for me, especially as a Washington fan. We're talking about the offseason. I'm looking at head coach hires. I'm looking at GM guys. It's just like, and what's the point of Ron Rivera coaching the rest of the season? You just lost 45-15 or whatever the heck it was at home. And Ron Rivera, you're going to tell me that Ron Rivera deserves the rest of the season? I don't think so. Let's see what we have. It's clearly they hate here. There's hella season left. And Jamie, I hate that the football season comes to an end. But at the same point, I know what's coming in the future. I know with the new regime that's coming in. I know with the changes that are going to happen. That has me excited. To be honest with you, if we still had Dan Snyder, if we still had, no hope in the future, I don't know what I would be doing as a fan right now. Acid Rain 1 said, the O-line deflates the whole squad within minutes of the game starting. The offensive line's bad. And I think Andrew Wiley's might be the worst right tackle in the league. And I think a lot of people said might. No, he is the worst right tackle in the league. And we see that. The screen pass that Sam Howell had, as a right tackle, you're not supposed to, sit there and block them for the whole play. It's a screen. You need to get upfield and stuff. But there's no chip whatsoever on that play. Like, Wiley had no interest in putting any hands on, I forgot who it was, that caught that pick six. No interest in it. And it's just like the effort's bad. He's getting beat week in, week out by like not even top tier guys. Let's see. Can we do anything to help this season? No. The only thing you can honestly do to help this season, and it sounds really bad to say, but it is to get the best draft pick possible, because it's going to, there's a lot of topic that can be talked about the first round draft pick. And this is what has me excited. If you have a top 5 pick, and there's so much there's a new regime. First off, do they want a quarterback? Do they believe in Sam Howell? Even if we do as fans, we have no say in Sam Howell being the quarterback next season. A new regime could say, guys, we're going to blow this thing up. This practice squad roster that Ronald Eugene Rivera has built is bad. We are going to build for the future. This team is not good enough to say, hey, guys, we're going to compete next year with the Cowboys and the Eagles in the division. So we're going to go all in on this one-off season. We're going to spend a lot of money. We're going to, use those draft picks wisely. There's no saying in that. We're going to build around Sam Howell. There is no guarantee in that. And I love Sam Howell, and I love what I see from him. But ask yourself this. When you watch these games on Sunday, can you say, I think we can improve at the position? The answer is yes. Can Sam Howell be better? Absolutely, obviously. So there's no guarantee that he's quarterback one or anyone's quarterback one if you can sit there and tell yourself, we can upgrade the position in the offseason. The Chargers, they say, hey, can we upgrade? Like, the team's really bad. Can we upgrade from Justin Herbert? No, he is the quarterback of the future. Obviously, like Patrick Mahomes and stuff like that. I'm just trying to think of some teams with good quarterbacks with bad records. You ask yourself, can we upgrade the position? The Falcons, can we upgrade from Desmond Ridder? Absolutely. No matter where you draft him, doesn't matter who he is. Can you upgrade the position? Yes. So it is always a possibility. Once again, I love Sam Howell. I would love to see what he can do behind a really good offensive line. And honestly, some better weapons. That's something I'm going to talk about as well, as some weapons. Let me check the poll real quick. I just want to see this one before I put another one out. Are you checked out as a fan? 100% of people say yes. And honestly, I don't blame you. As a fan, there's not much to look forward to right now. Do we need a long-term revamp? That's my next question. New regime drafts a quarterback. And what I mean by a new long-term revamp, they just simply start over. Nobody is safe. John Allen, Deron Payne, Terry McLaurin, nobody is safe. Nobody on this team. Heck, Tressway, whatever. I don't care. Nobody is safe on this team. That's what I mean by a revamp. They are saying, guys, we want to build this thing for the next 2-3 years, and we want to be able to compete long term because we see what the Eagles are doing. We see what the Cowboys are doing. We are nowhere near being that good. So we're going to move on from Sam Howell, whether you bench him, whether you trade him, whatever. We're going to draft, I don't know, say you get Jaden Daniels in the second, whatever. Say first round you go Olu Fashanu, Joe Alt, offensive lineman. Say second round you go Michael Penix Jr., Jaden Daniels, whoever's there in the second. And they go to build around him because they think he could be better than Sam Howell. Then you start getting some better wide receivers. Brian Thomas Jr. out of LSU, a big body receiver that can get some separation because these wide receivers are not getting separation right now outside of Curtis Samuel, which is sad. You need better tight ends. Sean 21 just said, yeah, you need a tight end. Absolutely agree. Logan Thomas is not it. Yeah, a guy like Brock Bowers is enticing. This is a really good tight end draft class, though. You got guys like Jatavion Sanders, who looked good for Texas in the Big 12 championship yesterday. Can get great separation, not much of an inline blocker, but still really good receiving. So do you just revamp everything? Is it worth running it back with the same roster or majority of the same roster? Obviously, you're not getting rid of everybody, but is it worth doing that and expecting different results? First off, coaching has a big play in it. Absolutely. Sean 21 also said, can we just lose the rest? We need the number one pick. We suck. I don't think we are bad enough to get to the number one pick, which is crazy to say because I think the Panthers are not winning another game this season. So the Bears will have the number one overall pick. I don't see the Cardinals really doing too much, and I don't see the Patriots doing anything either. I did not check to see how the Cardinals are doing. So the Cardinals are winning right now. It's under a delay, which is weird. And then the Patriots, I don't think they play this weekend. I don't think the Bears or the Giants play either. So that's crazy. A lot of the teams we need. I think the Patriots do play though. They lost to the Chargers 6-0. Good God. I'm glad I didn't watch that one. So yeah, Patriots lost again. They're now 2-10. So I don't think, I think we'll have the lock of like the 4th or 5th pick. So the question comes in, Mac 050786 says, well, if it's a full rebuild, target an OC or DC type coach, obviously the best candidate. And for me, it's still like Ben Johnson or Brian Johnson, you know, the Eagles offensive coordinator, Lions offensive coordinator. I would love one of those guys. I think it is important to have an offensive-minded coach. And I'm not saying you have to have them because you have guys like Dan Campbell. You have D'Amico Ryans, who's a defensive-minded guy. Really good defensive-minded coaches. But the thing that separates them two is just how great the players play under them, how much they motivate the players, how much of a player's coach they are. And I get it. Ron Rivera has that, but the energy is completely different. His arms folded on the sideline does nothing for our players. I'm telling you. I know the players say, oh, we love Ron. He's great for us, blah, 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 blah. But I don't see it on the field. I don't see the energy on the field saying like, oh, we're going to play for Ron. We're going to play together. I don't see that. There's not a single game this year where I've said, you know what, guys? I saw effort. I saw guys showing up. I think B-Rob shows up week in, week out. I think Curtis Samuel has been one of those guys who shows a lot of effort week in, week out. I think Sam Howell, he tries. Like, regardless, he tries. Even if it's not pretty sometimes, even if it's a pick six, fumble, sacks, whatever, Sam Howell has effort. But you can't say that about a lot of our guys on our team. So, like I said, you really have to take a look at things. And I kind of want to just pull up this mock draft simulator on PFF. I'm not going to run through a full mock draft or anything, but I just want to talk to y'all about like what a rebuild could possibly look at. And obviously this isn't some kind of guaranteed change or anything like that. But I think it's important to at least know what the options could be like, because I do think that this is a wrap. Like there's absolutely nothing to play for this season. Right now we have the 5th overall pick. And I'm not going to do any full crazy changes, but if you want to know what a actual, revamp could look like for the next season, at least, like I said, teams like the Texans can go all in and get a team good because they spent a lot of money. They built correctly. They got CJ Stroud. They got their future quarterback, and there's a right way to do it. But I think this team's just so far off of it of being a 1 year fix. I'm not trading any kind of picks. So say Drake May, Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, Olu Fashanu goes. A top 5 pick is interesting because if they do want to go full on regime, like let's rebuild this thing, the thing to think about is, do they possibly trade back and just load up on guys? Like they say, look, this team has way too many holes. And honestly, I don't blame them because this team does have way too many holes on this roster. The defense, you've spent so much drafting in corner. It's one of our worst positions. Safety needs help. The linebacker room needs help. Jamin Davis is decent. He's pretty good. He gives up some big plays. But outside of him, he needs help. We need edge rusher help. Even though KJ Henry shows some flashes, they might run with him for a year. I don't know. But then on offense, you have one guy that looks like he could be the future of the offensive line, and that's Sam Cosmi at right guard. But outside of that, you have so many holes to fill. And like I said, Curtis Samuel's probably not going to be back next year because he's a free agent. So you have another hole at wide receiver. De'Ami Brown is awful. Terry McLaurin is 28, almost 29 years old. He had his turf toe. He's starting to hit that regression, guys. I hate to say it, and that's another hot take that I had. I think Terry has gone from like that wide receiver 1 for us to a wide receiver 2 now. He has the most targets on the team with like 97. I think after today, it's probably close to 100. Jahan Dotson is second with like 70. So it's a big jump. But he's not getting that separation like he used to. He's dropping balls like he didn't in the past. And that was the one thing against Terry coming out was his age. In wide receiver terms, Terry's getting old. Even though like we just paid him, like it seems like he really hasn't been here but that long. When he came out of the draft, he was like 24, which is kind of crazy. Or 23 or something like that. He was old. Like he was mad old. So there's just so many teams. And for one of these teams, like, I mean, obviously they're showing you some trades that could possibly happen. The Jets at 8, maybe you go back to like 8, maybe you go like going back to pick 11 is something that I've thought about too. If you go back to pick 11, you probably get 11, 43, 75. You're getting a first next year. Absolutely. Maybe a second next year, because you got to think about like when the 49ers and Dolphins traded, it was what, 3-12. They gave up. They got 2 extra firsts, I think a second and a third. I can't remember when they did the awful trade for Trey Lance. So maybe that's something you do. And what would that look like? But if you don't, and you say, hey, we want to roll with Sam Howell the rest of this season, what does that look like? Maybe you get Brock Bowers, who's a weapon. But at the same time, I think this team is too bad to say we can't afford to pass up on a guy like Joe Alt on the offensive line. But if you trade back, this offensive tackle class is really good in this draft, like really good. I think you could trade back to 11 and get a guy who's a starting tackle, whether it's Talise Fuaga or J.C. Latham, who was absolutely deadly against Georgia yesterday, had one of his best games of his career on the biggest stage against the best team in the nation. So you can get a starting offensive tackle. I don't think there's much of a fall off from Joe Alt to J.C. Latham or Talise Fuaga. I think Olu Fashanu is a tier 1 guy, and then it jumps down to tier 2, which is still really good. Joe Alt, Fuaga, Latham, like I said, maybe Mims might be in that category, and then late. But I think Washington just cannot afford to pass on an elite tackle prospect, like a guy like Trent Williams that we've had. We haven't had good offensive line play since Trent Williams left. And even like when he was here, it was bad. So it just tells you like one guy's not going to fix the whole line though. You have to build it correctly. And that's why I'm excited to see who this coaching staff would come in and get, who the head, not even just head coach, the vice president, the GM, the head of operations. Those kind of guys are going to come in and say, these are the players we need. These are the blue chip players that we need to build around this team. So if you get a Joe Alt, say you don't believe in Sam Howell, by the way, which, like I said, I do, but with this coaching staff, you don't know what could happen. They might say, guys, we don't want Sam Howell. We want to do this our way. If we're going to invest in a couple of years to rebuild this thing, we want to get our guy, like a Jaden Daniels, who you see over here, probably going to win the Heisman. I don't think Shedeur Sanders comes out. I think Michael Penix Jr. could be available here. Please stay away from J.J. McCarthy. Like everyone knows, I'm not a J.J. McCarthy fan. I don't want Carson Beck. Quinn Ewers is probably going back for another year. Big fall off after that. Looks like Penix already went in the first round, which honestly I could see too. But So you just have to keep that in mind. I'm not going to do a full-on draft, mock draft for y'all. It's something I'll do from now to April many times. But just something to think about is this team is just really bad. This team needs a complete roster revamp. And I hate to say it because, like I said, Ron Rivera took many steps back in the 4 years that he was here. It wasn't like, I see some changes. Maybe he did fix the culture. Maybe he did. That's fine. And I appreciate that, and I thank him for that. But I will never forgive Ron Rivera for the roster that he put together. This team is bad, and I get it. I'm guilty of it too. I hyped up these players. I watch some tape and I see some good things, but then you see them play on Sunday and they don't play well together. The schemes don't match the player. We're running a lot of man coverage. You have Quan Martin single coverage and a cover one against Tyreek Hill, and your single high safety is Cam Curl. Who's your strong safety? Who cannot play single high? So why are you drafting guys like Quan Martin, who you did not play for a majority of the season, by the way? He sat on the bench for like 60% of the season, probably more than that, closer to 70. And you said, you know what, Quan Martin, even though you haven't played that much this year, we're going to put you one-on-one with Tyreek Hill, and we're not going to give you any safety help. It's going to be a cover one, by the way, and it's Cam Curl. I'm not saying Percy Butler would have been any better. He would have been worse. But I'm just saying, guys, at least cover two. Something, at least play some zones where, you're following Tyreek Hill for a little bit, then you fall off of him and someone else is picking him up on the back end. So he can't get all that separation. He's going to either hit some kind of 9 route on you and get separation on you. And they did it twice. And he burned Kendall Fuller the second time. And like I said, Percy Butler took an hour to come over there to help him out. It's bad. You put so much draft stock in this secondary, and this is the effort, and this is the talent, this is the play that we see every single week. We are the worst defense in the league. And then I'm going to say it one more time, and I'm never going to say it again. Montez Sweat and Chase Young had no influence on this team, had absolutely no. People are like, well, you should have traded away your 2 defensive ends then. They had nothing to do with it. We went from last place to last place with those guys. Last place to last place. It's bad. I'm telling you, even if we got prime Chase Young back, this team this defense is too bad. It would not have made a difference. Do we need a revamp? New regime drafts a quarterback. 60% of people actually say yes, and 40% of people say no. You just don't know what to expect. This is the biggest unknown. This is more unknown than when we changed the name. I had no idea what the name was going to be. I heard a couple things. I saw a couple pictures leak and stuff like that. I heard about Commanders, a month or two before it happened, but I was like, I don't know. But I have no idea what this new regime could do. And I think that's the mindset, and I challenge y'all because it's something I'm going to have to do. There's going to be some moves to be made that you might not agree with as fans. I'm attached to some of these players. I'm attached to some things that go onto the team, even though, I cover the team. I talk about it. I do content for them and stuff, whatever. I'm a fan first. I was born into this team. And that's what I think, separates me from a guy, who just doesn't, have an attachment to this team. But at the same time, there's sometimes where I have to back up, unplug that, fan, plug that guy going on to the team and just say, I have to just let this new regime do whatever they're going to do and respect it and be open-minded about it. If they say, guys, we're not going to go with Sam Howell next year, we're going to draft Jaden Daniels and we're going to draft Joe Alt and we're going to trade Deron Payne, and we're going to spend a lot of money, and we're going to spend a lot of draft capital, and we're going to try to build this thing the right way. I'm going to say, okay. And I'm going to say, okay, and I'm going to give it some time, and I'm going to let them do whatever they're going to do. And if it doesn't work, then I'm going to complain again. But at the same time, I'm sick and tired of watching this team. I'm 30 years old now. I know I don't look like it. Shout out to me, Dirty 30. For the 30 years I've been a fan of this team, I have never seen this team actually look competent. That was before my time. Our last Super Bowl was right before I was born. And I've just never seen that. So I can't sit here and say, guys, we need to roll with Sam Howell. If you don't do that, you're making a mistake. Because I haven't seen this team actually be good. I haven't seen this team be consistently good. I've seen little flashes in the pan where we thought we had something. RG3, obviously that didn't go the right way. It wasn't his fault. It wasn't RG3's fault. That was the only time as a fan where I was like, yo, we can be special. We can be that team. We can be like the Colts and the Patriots at the time. The Ravens, the Eagles were good at the time. We can be like that with RG3. If we build this thing the right way, build around him, we've got something special cooking. So right now, if they say, we don't want Sam, we don't want Terry, we don't want John Allen, am I going to be upset about it? Absolutely. But am I going to have a choice? No. I'm going to say, okay, do it. Whoever you are, whatever team you've been with, whether it was the Chiefs, the 49ers, whoever, fix this thing. And I promise you, Ron Rivera is not going to be here. I've seen some people in the chat say, there's no point in Ron Rivera finishing out the season. Worst thing we can do, Sean 21 said, worst thing they could do is stay with Ron Rivera. And I'm telling you guys, I'm so just beyond checked out of Ron Rivera. Honestly, I was last year. But I gave him the benefit of the doubt this year because he did the things I didn't think he could do. He got Eric Bieniemy. He got rid of Jack Del Rio last week or whatever. He's doing things that I didn't think he was capable of doing. But still, just the things he says, it just sounds like he is so checked out as a coach. He's not plugged in the way he needs to be plugged into this team. I know he's there. He's doing all these kinds of things, but he's just not doing the effective moves that need to be made for this team. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt going into this season, but now I'm done. There's no reason he should be coaching the rest of the season. Absolutely none. I do not care who is interim coach. Give Eric Bieniemy the interim coach job. I don't care if he sucks at it. Not saying Eric Bieniemy has been the best offensive coordinator because he hasn't been. There's been really bad play calling. I won't forgive him for the Andrew Wiley signing. But at the same time, it cannot be any worse. If Eric Bieniemy is going to even be an option in the offseason for the head coaching job, you might as well let him finish the last, 5 games of the season, audition. Maybe he goes somewhere else. Maybe we just start completely over next year. New head coach, new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. Maybe that's what happens. Let Eric Bieniemy at least get this interim job for us for the rest of the season. And if it's not an offensive coordinator position here, if it's not a head coaching job here, which I highly doubt would happen, him coming in as head coach next year, which, once again, I love Eric Bieniemy. I love his passion. I love how he talks. But he hasn't had the best results this season. And I know it's one season. It's with Sam Howell. There's a lot of things to go into it. But still, if it's not here, maybe he gets a job somewhere else. Maybe we just clean house, which is fine. But Ron's got to be the first move to go. I don't want this. Start at the bottom, make your way up. First, we're going to get rid of Jack Del Rio. First, we're going to knock the whole thing down. Start with Ron Rivera at the top. Knock it down. Get your top candidates in here. And I think Washington will be a top, designation for a lot of places, for a lot of people. A lot of top people, because we do have the draft capital. We do have the salary cap. I think we're going to be second and third in the league next season for, salary cap that we can spend in the offseason. And we have a new owner. We have new plans for a new stadium, probably 2027, maybe 2028 is what I've heard. Who knows how long that would take. So a lot of young guys who have never coached, had a head coaching job before, are going to want to come here. There's only 32 teams in the league. There's not a lot of head coaching jobs I think will be open next season. I obviously the Panthers have theirs. I think we'll have ours. I think you can throw in 3 or 4 other ones. But I think we're going to be one of the top places to go to, because you do have a guy like Sam Howell. If you like him, you can roll with him. If you've seen the good in him, he's on a rookie contract. That's the biggest luxury you can have in the NFL if you like Sam Howell. But if not, once again, you're going to want to get a head coach that can communicate with the GM and say, this is what I want on my team. This is the roster I want to build. We need to work together on this. We need to build this thing the right way, because I have no idea what they were doing here. Drafting Forbes over Gonzalez, drafting Jamin Davis over Darisaw. They made a lot of head-scratching moves that even the fans, even guys like me, even guys like y'all that knew the right pick, this team decided, you know what? We're going to take Forbes over Gonzalez. We're going to take Jamin Davis over Darisaw, who's one of the best tackles in the league right now. It makes absolutely no sense. There's so many boneheaded. The only thing worse than that was the Chargers taking Quentin Johnson over Zay Flowers. That's terrible. That's a fireable offense. So I appreciate y'all coming by here. Obviously, just not a lot to talk about with this game. It went exactly how I thought it would happen. 45-15, whatever the heck it was. Still only one win at home, which is just embarrassing. Yeah, 45-15. I honestly didn't watch the last few minutes. Once I saw Jacoby Brissett come in, I mean, Tua left the game with 11 minutes left. That's embarrassing. Shout out to all the fans over there in the rain and the bad, nasty weather, just overtaken by Dolphins fans. Shout out to all the Washington Commander fans that are out there. So appreciate y'all stopping by. Like I said, if you came in late, whatever, I'm going to put this on my YouTube channel, JTFB, or just type in at Josh Taylor FB in the search and it'll pop up. And then follow me on Twitter at Josh Taylor FB as well. And I'll be posting some more stuff, always starting conversations, stuff. Love hearing from y'all. Love y'all coming in the chat. And I'll see y'all next time. We're going to be doing a post-game stream next week as well. Hopefully actually have something to talk about, because this was just a blowout. This was just the traditional Ron Rivera game. We're going to give up explosive plays. We're going to give up a lot of points at home. We're going to not do anything to help our young players. We're going to throw Quan Martin on Tyreek Hill one-on-one with no safety help. We're just going to look like an incompetent team and disappoint our fans once again. So shout out to Ron Rivera for taking 4 years to run this thing into the dump and creating one of the worst rosters I've ever seen in the NFL. And shout out to whoever's going to be here next year to save us. So appreciate y'all coming by, and I'll see y'all next week here on Bleacher Report. Underdog Fantasy is the best place to participate in all of your fantasy contests, whether it's the NFL, MLB, PGA Golf, NBA, even college football. This user-friendly app, you can win up to 20 times your money in a single night. And my favorite part is that when you sign up in your first deposit, you use my promo code JTFB, they will double your first deposit up to $100. Now, how does it work? You pick lower or higher on stat projections that Underdog Fantasy gives you, whether it's passing yards, rebounds, points, you name it. And for each selection, say you want to select 3 people or 4 people, your odds go up based off of how many you select. My favorite feature, however, is sometimes I want to make 4 selections and I'm not feeling too confident in all of them. I love taking advantage of the Pick'em insurance to where if I miss one pick in my contest, I still get paid out on lower odds. So sign up today, download the app, and use my promo code JTFB to get up to $100 in your first deposit.